On October 21st, IBJ unveils the 2025 Women of Influence. Join us to celebrate Indy's most inspiring leaders and hear the powerful stories behind their success. Don't miss this moment. Register now at ibj.com/influence 2025.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Thursday, October 9th, 2025. I'm Alex Brown. Jillian Lee of Fort Wayne is garnering national attention for her startup, Unique Lee Creations, which makes custom bling shoes that are sold online. In the past few years, Lee has seen her shoes worn by the likes of Oprah Winfrey and actress Lisa Ray McCoy. She says now that she needs to make the business more than just a one-woman show.
I know I have to hire because it's just me doing the business. I literally do everything in the business, from marketing to customizing the product to packaging to going to the post office, every little detail. So I know in order for me to really grow, I have to have people.
Lee says her ultimate goal is to launch her own shoe line. Lafayette-based Fiber Global, a manufacturer of engineered wood products, is planning to spend $29.4 million to open a manufacturing facility in Whitestown and add more than 100 workers by 2029. The 150,000 square foot facility will be used to make building materials using post-consumer waste, including medium-density fiberboard, high-density fiberboard, plywood, and particle board. The Gary-Chicago International Airport Authority said this week that it has named Tom Collins Jr. as its new chairman. Collins, who is also president and CEO of Hobart-based Luke family of brands, has served on the airport's board of directors since 2022. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
The Indiana Supreme Court opted not to side with Lake County taxpayers in a case that could have reformed the state's property tax system and shrunk a major revenue stream for municipalities.
At stake was how much land fell under a 1% tax cap for homesteads, limiting the amount of property taxes local units could collect. Currently, homeowners can only claim 1 acre of land under the 1% cap. Lake County taxpayers Tulsi and Kaini Saulani own 3.9 acres of land and sought to claim all of it under the homestead exemption. But Indiana's 5 Supreme Court justices unanimously ruled against them, finding that the homeowners, quote, failed to prove they use more than 1 acre of their property as curtilage, end quote. Curtilage is the land or buildings immediately surrounding a home. A lower-level court has sided with the Saulanis, finding that 1 acre limitation to be unconstitutional. A ruling in favor of the Saulanis would be advantageous for homeowners, but it would add to the administrative burden of county assessors who would have to review properties on a case-by-case basis. It would also mean less tax revenue for local government. Indiana voters approved property tax limits in 2010, capping bills at 1% of the property's assessed value for homesteads, 2% for other residential property and farmland, and 3% for businesses. Increases from separately approved referendums are outside those limits. I'm Mark Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The Commission on Indiana's Legal Future is supporting a concept being built and tested by students at the Indiana University Maurer School of Law, a nonprofit law firm model that could help the state's legal community better serve clients of modest means. The Commission's interim report, released last August, highlights the rising cost of legal services that leaves a growing gap between low-income applicants who qualify for legal aid and higher-income applicants who can afford full-price legal services. The report suggests launching a nonprofit operating business, meaning it's not wholly funded by the state or foundations, to serve clients in need of affordable legal advice. From Princeton to Lafayette, international automakers are helping to drive the state's economy, according to a new report from Autos Drive America. The Washington, D.C.-based organization found that Honda, Subaru, and Toyota have invested $11.8 billion in Indiana and created more than 17,000 direct jobs. Bryce Carpenter is with Connexus Indiana.
Indiana is fortunate to have a very diverse automotive ecosystem, both domestic and foreign, that makes it very well suited for instances like we're in with economic uncertainty.
Connexus's recent Future Ready report says automotive is 20% of Indiana's total manufacturing gross domestic product. Authentic's founder Amy Brown is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
Whether it's healthcare innovation, major infrastructure, or global sports impact, Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick tells the stories of Indiana's groundbreakers and game changers. It's the must-listen show for business, civic, and community leaders across the state. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts or at ibjpodcast.com.
Do you want to know what really drives change in Indiana? You won't find it in sound bites, you'll find it in stories. Stories from CEOs, lawyers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and community advocates. That's the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Insightful, local, impactful. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcast.com.